India has an ambitious infrastructure target over the next 5 years. It's $1 trillion. Is there financing available for India's infrastructure dream? Will issues like land acquisition and environmental clearances come in the way? I'm going to pose these questions to Panda, who's Member of Parliament. Orissa, your home state, I think is a microcosm of the national problem in a sense. The land acquisition issues, the environmental clearances, the needs that big infrastructure projects have on the other hand. This is terrain that the government would argue it is navigating with a cabinet committee on infrastructure to sort out and speed up. But what's the sense that you get on the policy side and what the people really have to say? The balance, how it's going to be struck, because that's the immediate hurdle.
The entire country is grappling with this issue, not just any one state.
Exactly.
Land acquisition has been a hurdle in dozens of states. And if you look at the problems that we face today, for example, our major highways construction throughout the country has slowed down dramatically in the last decade. But let's not see the glass only as half full. There's a lot of encouraging information out there.
But the information still, the statistics, yes, they're reassuring, but they're not exhilarating. I mean, 7.2% of GDP spent on infrastructure. Yes, it's a step up from 5% of GDP, but still grossly inadequate for a country like ours. And you just have to bring up the China example and everything falls into place.
Let me tell you something about India and something about Orissa since you raised it. The fact is, 7% we may think today is inadequate, but only a few years ago we were struggling at 4% of GDP and 4% on a lower base. Today 7% on a much larger economy compared to 5-7 years ago. So in fact, the amount of infrastructure that is getting built is significantly more than before. And please remember, let's not disparage the 7% rate, because the World Bank's traditional guideline for developing countries has been that they ought to spend 7%, and we were never meeting it. Of course, it's a fact that countries like China have exceeded the 7% norm for many years, and that's what we should keep in sight. But we should take some sense of satisfaction at having reached 7%, but not treat this as an end in itself, but as a building block in place to go beyond. And so I wanted to say something about Orissa. What happens is, not just in Orissa, but in other places, people hear a lot about the projects that get stuck. People hear a lot about where investment has not happened. The fact is, today Orissa is growing at 9.5%. And over the past decade, Orissa has grown at 9.7%. The fact is that many states, not just Orissa, states like Bihar, states like Chhattisgarh, these are states that used to be considered as way behind the national average in terms of growth. Today they are growing at the same level or a little faster than the celebrated states like Gujarat, and that's because you have billions of dollars of investment that has taken place under the radar, and yet we get focused on the 2 or 3 big ones which have got stuck.
Well, it's always interesting when an optimist and a pessimist are facing each other. Mr. Panda, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.